Hello, my name is Nicole Davies. I'm a wool area manager based in Bendigo, Central Victoria, and my main role is working with clients to help facilitate their sale of wool. I help with the wool production and especially clip preparation on farm, helping out the classes and wool classing as well as sheep classing and ram selection. When I'm located here in the Brooklyn wool selling facility, I'm helping prepare lines of wool, typing fleeces, getting them ready into the catalogue, checking test results, checking species, making sure they're all prepared as best as they possibly can be before the sale. Also, I am out on farm talking to growers within the Central Victorian region, going out during shearing, discussing their clip preparation, as well as looking at their sheep and wool, finding out the best way of selling their wool, whether that be at auction, private sales, electronic wool on wool trade as well. Wool is a very seasonal product, so it does change, and depending on the area and the type of enterprises you have on farm, a lot of the time you'll have some autumn shearings, especially if they're 6 months shorn. Then going into the winter, you'll have a lot of the lambing, or just before winter you'll have a lot of lambing, and then they're feeding, looking after the lambs throughout the winter, hoping that they grow wool as well as put on weight for market. And then in the spring, that is the traditional time for a lot of shearings. It's very busy because it's in the lead up to harvest as well. Quite a lot of farmers have quite a lot of balls in the air. And so yeah, they're managing a few different things, shearing in the spring, as well as taking off some spring lambs going to market. So then you'll have some spring lamb shearing later on in the year, and then it sort of all comes back around again. So one of the special events that I'm involved with is the Australian Fleece Competition at the Australian Sheep and Wool Show based in Bendigo. And I help pick up fleeces from the farm right to putting ribbons on the fleeces at the show. We have a lot of schools coming to the Sheep and Wool Show, not only to show their sheep, but as well as their fleeces. And we have quite a lot of schools throughout Australia coming to this national event. We encourage a lot of schools to enter their fleece. Doesn't matter if you've got 10 sheep or 10,000 sheep. We encourage wool growers from all different breeds, not just merinos, to come to the show and show off what they produce best. So my role relates to the fibre side of food and fibre production, and it's supporting growers, helping them produce the best wool clip that they possibly can, going into apparel and clothing manufacturing, as well as upholstery and carpets, and there's plenty of other materials that wool goes into in everyday products as well. Wool is a very sustainable product. It's reused, it can be rewoven, respun, it goes into the carbon cycle quite nicely. Within the fleece, no part of the wool is wasted. Most of the fleece goes into apparel, merino apparel, such as suits and jumpers and jackets. However, there is a place for a lot of the skirting, the side pieces, the locks, the second cuts, even the dags, that are the dirty parts of the wool, all find homes. The whole part of the sheep is used, and then even towards the end of the life cycle of the sheep, that gets used for meat production as well. Wool is very important to Australia because majority of the world's merino fibres are produced in Australia. Other countries do produce wool, but they grow more crossbred and broader micron wools. So merino is majorly produced in Australia and has been for quite a long time. Most farms do require multiple sources of income and multiple markets, so they have lots of different enterprises. Sheep fit into a lot of farms' operational management cycles very easily. Day to day, I am constantly talking to farmers and growers about producing their best quality wools. I'm also discussing the market with other people in the industry, such as wool buyers, livestock, merchandise, agronomy, and real estate, as well as my team within the Brooklyn Wool Store, discussing the market and getting the wool prepared for sale. Collaboration is important in my role because I'm often speaking face-to-face with growers, seeing it on farm, seeing on-farm results, and then also taking them down to the wool sale, seeing the wool sale in person and getting those live results directly. It's also important to discuss things clear with your grower as well as the wool store staff to get clear communication so that we can sell the wool as effectively as possible. Some of the challenges within my role are the ups and downs of the wool market. When the market is red hot and selling very well, it's a really good industry to be in. But of course, when the market is not going so well, it can be a challenge for growers to accept certain levels, and that's my role, is to explain reasons why the market might not be performing as well as it is, and how we can navigate that with the many other opportunities through selling in different avenues. And wool is a fantastic product that you can hold it for a certain amount of time. Once it's pressed really heavily, it can be held for a long period of time before it starts to degrade. So it's a really good commodity compared to grains or fresh fruit and vegetable or livestock that needs to be sold on the day. Wool can be held for some time, and we can have that discussion with growers. In the future, my role will probably change to involve a lot more technical aspects with more technology. The sheep and wool industry is a very labour-intensive process, and compared to a lot of cropping enterprises where there is a lot of high-tech apps, computers and machinery, we're looking towards to adding more and more of that to become a less labour-intensive industry, as well as helping people not work as physically as hard. The good thing is now there are a lot of technical advances that wool producers are hoping to incorporate into their businesses. With the introduction of e-species, e-tags, you can electronically collect data for individual sheep, and that will help with production, profitability and monitoring genetics on a season by season or year by year basis. And I think that will help produce better outcomes for all in the industry. Originally, I'm from a sheep station out in Western New South Wales, and that's where I originally got my love for sheep and wool. They're my favourite animals, and I wanted to pursue that further in life. So I went to Charles Sturt University in Wagga Wagga, studied for 4 years there and got a Bachelor of Agricultural Science, and absolutely loved that, being on campus as well as having the practical experience on farm. I've then later moved down to Bendigo, where I got a job with Nutrien, and again being in the wool store, having practical experiences, seeing wool from all over Australia. We have wool here from not just central Victoria but South Australia, Tasmania and northern New South Wales, and just seeing that practical aspect, looking at the wool, looking as much wool as possible, you get a lot of experience and knowledge based from that. After university, I did a Cert 4 in wool classing to better extend my knowledge and help when talking to other wool classes in the shed, explain the benefits of correct clip preparation and presenting the wool as best we can for the grower to receive the best possible price at auction. I think if anyone is interested in getting a job within the wool and sheep industry, it's to get out and have a go at some of the practical experiences. Come to a wool sale, come to a wool auction, go to a sheep sale. If you get the opportunity, go on farm, talk to farmers, work in a wool shed, do some rouseabouting, touch and feel the wool, get to see as much as you can from as many different places as you can, and ask as many questions as you can. Most people within the wool industry are very, very passionate and happy to explain to young people how to get into the industry and how it all works together. So if you have as much practical experience as possible, that would be really good. Wool classing certificate is also very handy if you want to go into working more into the sheds. The best thing about agriculture is there's not one pathway. You can go and get as much farmers experience as you can, and that's fantastic if tertiary and further education is not for you. There's so many opportunities and pathways, and not one person that I work with has had the same pathway. I think a lot of ag kids want that hands-on practical experience, and getting on farm is the best way to do so.